If you clicked on this video, then chances are you are in a job that is making you feel burnt out and miserable and leaving you with really not very much energy to do anything about that. If that is you, the first thing I'm here to tell you is that you're not broken, there's nothing wrong with you. This is something that millions of Americans go through every year. And in this video, we're going to break down what burnout actually is so you can figure out if you have it or not. And crucially, if you do have it, we're then going to break down a plan for how you can get out of burnout and get into a career that you actually enjoy. My name is Mabel. I'm a certified professional coach, and I help passionate neurodivergent women change careers so they can actually enjoy waking up on Monday. Let's do this. So according to Statista, in 2023, over 20% of American workers at that very moment were experiencing burnout. So that tells us that this is something that is common. If this is happening to you, you're not the only person. And if you're neurodivergent, unfortunately, the statistics for burnout are even higher. But the good news is that doesn't mean you are destined to feel burnt out and exhausted forever. I've worked with so many neurodivergent clients who have come to me experiencing burnout, and I've seen so many people transform that experience and find careers that actually work for them. The key is noticing that this is you and then being dedicated to taking the steps continuously to get out of that situation. So we're going to start by breaking down what burnout actually is, and then we're going to make a plan for how you can get out of it. So what actually is burnout? We use this term so much that sometimes I think people don't know what it actually means. So take a listen to this. Medically, burnout is a state of physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion, and it's caused by prolonged exposure to emotionally demanding situations, in particular chronic stress at work. And there's this really key thing about burnout that most people don't realize, and it's that burnout isn't just caused by the amount of work that you do, it's caused by how unaligned that work is with you. This is something that people overlook with burnout so much, and it's such a shame because when you overlook this, it's so much easier for you to just keep on in the burnout cycle. Another way that you can put this is when you are doing work that goes against your values, work that seems unfair, work that doesn't use your natural skills, all these things that don't align with you, the work is more tiring than if you do work that you love, that you enjoy, or that is just exciting to you. So let's look at the 5 key symptoms of burnout so you can figure out if you think it's something you're going through right now. Number 1 is chronic exhaustion. This isn't just feeling tired after having one bad night's sleep or being worn out after one busy week of work. This is consistently, week on week, month on month, feeling exhausted when you get home from work. Something my clients say to me all the time is they say, when I get home, I don't have energy to do anything else. I just want to sit on the couch and decompress. And that's consistently happening day after day after day. Number 2 is cynicism. You start to feel cynical about the value of your job. You start to feel cynical about whether you're really making a difference or doing anything meaningful. And you start to feel more detached from other people. Number 3 is loss of motivation. You just don't want to do the job and you don't have any energy to do it. Maybe you're stressed, maybe you have deadlines kicking you up the bum, getting you to do things. But if you didn't have those things in front of you, you wouldn't want to do the job. You're constantly getting distracted, getting off task, and it feels really hard to just stay focused on your actual work. Number 4 is cognitive impairment. So a little bit like the distraction, you might start to have issues with memory. You might start to feel really unfocused while you're at work. Maybe you're getting constant brain fog. When you think about how you feel now and how you felt back in the past when you felt healthy, you just don't feel your best. You don't have mental clarity and you don't feel like you're really on your game. And number 5 is physical symptoms. So this is things like headaches. This is things like getting sick all the time. This is things like heartburn. It can even be things like muscle tension or developing something like IBS. I've had loads of clients come to me and they say, I'm literally getting sick every month, and it's meaning that I'm having to take time off work. When I do go back to work, I'm behind. And you can get in this cycle where the burnout is causing physical health conditions, and then the physical health conditions are making the burnout and your ability to actually show up at work even more challenging. So after hearing all of these symptoms, do you feel like you might have burnout? Again, burnout is not just one tired day after work. It's not feeling kind of tired one weekend if you've had a particularly busy week at work. Burnout is consistently feeling fatigued, not on your best, not motivated, brain foggy, headachy, again and again and again, week after week. So if that's you, what we're going to do now is we're going to make a game plan for you to get out of your current situation and into something that is much more healthy. Now, the very first thing you need to do is prioritize your own mental and emotional well-being. This is so important. I have so many clients come to me when they're thinking that they're super burnt out and that they need to get into a different job. They come to me and they are so exhausted, they are so unhealthy in themselves that all they can manage to do is show up to work, come home, eat, sleep, and repeat. And when you're that exhausted, it's really difficult to make progress at all unless you just want to quit your job entirely. And so the first step is to focus on you and your mental well-being. And you can do this inside of work and outside of work. So inside of work, this is going to look like thinking about whether you can put any boundaries in place, like loving boundaries. This is about thinking about whether you can really be serious about saying, okay, I'm going to take a full lunch break and I'm going to leave work when my shift ends. I'm not going to stay for another half hour to finish things off. Is there anything that you can do by maybe having a conversation with your boss or to your colleagues, putting in boundaries, doing things so that the job is as minimal stress as it can be given the situation? And then at home, it's about being really intentional with your time at home. Maybe you have a family, maybe you're busy, maybe you have responsibilities. What can you do to give yourself what you need to recharge? Because you are your most important asset. And if you cannot function, you don't have the energy to make progress on this journey. So once you've identified some ways that you can just focus on mental well-being as much as possible right now, step 2 is to figure out whether you're actually in the right job or whether you need to switch to something different. And you can do that by really looking at the job and saying, are there things I can do to change this situation so that this job is less tiring and less exhausting? Or is it just kind of the nature of the job, the company, that it's always going to be this stressful? And that really depends. So think about whether you could talk to your boss, talk to your managers, talk to your colleagues, put in some new rules, adopt a new mindset to put less pressure on yourself. Will doing those things actually get you to a point where you are happy and fulfilled and calm in the job? If the answer is yes, then that is what you want to do. If the answer is no, because it's just like a kind of toxic work culture, it's so different from what fits you that just realistically you're not going to be able to make those adaptations enough, then we want to move on to step 3. And step 3 is figuring out whether you just need to switch to a different company doing like a similar job, or whether you actually need to change careers entirely. So I have had clients, for example, who worked in journalism, and journalism was a really great career for them, but they learned that just the nature of the industry was very stressful and very fast paced, and that just wasn't the right fit for them. So they decided to actually change industries. So this step is all about considering, is it just the job and I just need to switch to a different company where the work culture is better, or actually are the things that are causing my burnout present across the whole of this industry? Now, if the answer is, actually, I like this industry, I just need to go and get a different job, then what I would recommend you do is you network to get that job. If the job market is not incredible and amazing and it's not a completely employees market, then networking to get a job is really going to be your best approach because it's going to have a higher success rate. And I have a free training down below that will walk you through how to do that. If you're thinking to yourself, I just need a new career entirely, this industry does not work for me, then we're going to build a plan for that right now. So if you're at that point where you're like, I need to get into a new career, but I don't know what that new career is, this is what I recommend you doing. Step 1 is to do something called a self-discovery. And this is where you learn about all of the pieces that are actually going to be part of a fulfilling, joyful, non-burnouty career for you. So when I do this with my clients, I'm going to walk you through how to do it now yourself. We explore 4 main categories. So we explore and we basically pull out all these potential puzzle pieces, right? Of things I love, so things that you enjoy, that you're passionate about, that make you happy. Things I'm good at, so these are your skills, natural skills and also learned skills. How you want to live, so what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Do you want to always have the weekends off? Do you want to work remote? And then category 4 is my personality, because actually whether you're introverted or extroverted, whether you're bubbly, those kinds of things will affect the kind of job that will fit you. So once you've pulled out all of these potential puzzle pieces, your next job is to narrow them down and find the most important ones. And then once you've done that, start to explore different careers that include these most important puzzle pieces. When I do this with my clients through going through this process, normally, naturally, some careers come to the top. So just as you're kind of doing this discovery, you will start to think of careers that might naturally fit it. So for example, you might have a couple different careers. You might say, I might want to be a therapist, but I also might want to be a business owner, or maybe I also want to work in HR, for example. So naturally, you might have like 3 to 5 ideas come to the top. Once you have those 3 to 5 ideas, the next thing it is so important that you do is go and research those ideas in real life. I have had clients way back in the past who didn't do this, and they ended up in careers they never would have chosen if they'd have actually known the truth about those jobs. So it's so important when you're considering these careers to just go out and ask people in the industry what these jobs are actually like. Go and find someone who is a therapist and talk to them and say, hey, what is the worst part of being a therapist? What did you find most difficult when you started? And you can also ask, what's the best part of your day? But find out what these jobs are really like. Once you've done that, some of the careers that you're researching will naturally float to the top, or through talking to these people, they might introduce you to new careers. And so as you continue to research these careers by talking to real people, there will come a point, because there always does, where one kind of floats to the top. And once you have that, you're pretty close to getting a new career. What you need to then do is figure out what you need to do to get a job in that career. And again, I always recommend doing that through talking to people who do the job. So if you say really want to work in like creative marketing, go and talk to someone who does that and say, hey, this is my skills, this is my experience, what would I need to get a job like yours? And sometimes that might involve going back to school, or hopefully it doesn't, and it just means networking with some other creative marketers and getting a job with them. And so I always recommend doing this through what I call a networking approach. So this is when we go out and we talk to people. It's what I mentioned earlier. We go out and we talk to people and we meet them and we say hi. And then at the end of the conversation, we say, do you know anyone who's hiring? And then what happens is that they directly refer you to jobs, and you get to kind of jump to the front of the queue for these jobs that potentially 200 other people are applying for online. And when you keep on doing that, you'll get interviews. And by that point, all you need to do is make sure that you're prepared for the interview, that you're confident in what you're saying, and then you can go in and you can get a new job. So I hope this was helpful. If you want more information on this process of change, then there's a free resource below. It's a big free resource that has multiple modules in it. Together, those modules walk you through the whole entire process. But if you're more interested on one step than another, you can focus on just that one module. And so after watching this video, where are you? Are you someone who just needs to give yourself a bit more time for wellness and care? Are you someone who needs to make a few changes in your current job and then that will make you happy? Or are you someone who needs to get a job in a different company or even in a different industry entirely? Let me know below, and I am here to support you always. So just drop me a message and I'll be here to answer your questions and help in any way I can. Mwah.